This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I want to cover a story that should be in the mainstream media. It should be talked about, but these are the stories that you never hear about. You'll hear some small outlets report on it, but people just go, "Oh yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, or it's not really real, or the person was just crazy." But it's just, how many stories do we need to hear about ritual sacrifices of parents doing this to their children? I've covered so many. I've talked about ones in the past, cases that have happened. I've talked about how these people were convicted of these satanic ritual sacrifices and then, of course, freed. West Memphis 3, the Oak Hill case. Because all these people now are completely protected. They have full control now. The Satanists have full control over all these authority, positions in government, from federal courthouses down, you name it. And they free these people, and nobody says boo. And one thing you'll never hear is any mainstream media outlet reporting it. Now, this is really, this is disheartening. This is the kind of stuff that really makes you want to cry and really pisses you off at the same time. But a woman was arrested over a satanic ritual death of her baby son. She named her baby son Beelzebub, right? Which is another name for Satan. And the police found the 8-month-old's body mutilated. They found a pentagram. They found all sorts of charms and things used in black magic rituals. It says police, a Mexican woman has been arrested on suspicion of killing her 8-month-old baby in a satanic ritual. Police found a pentagram and a silhouette of a baby painted in black on the floor of the home in Greater Mexico City. Just unbelievable, just appalling is really what there aren't words to describe it, really. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Cops also found ritual materials, including candles, a human skull, devil figurines, and oils in the same room. The baby's mutilated corpse was found elsewhere in the house, and it was initially unclear whether the skull was real. It is reported that the 26-year-old mom, identified as Letitia N., did name the baby Beelzebub. The baby's unnamed father, who had split from his mother, told authorities in January he had not been allowed to see his son for a while. You could see some of these just disturbing photos, inside the home. It said police obtained a warrant to enter her home after the father said he feared the child was being abused. The woman has since been charged with homicide, was reportedly at home at the time. And officers, and told officers she did not know where the baby was. So she's home at the time that the police come. She's an 8-month-old, and I don't know where the baby is. Where would your 8-month-old be if it's not with the father? Where would your 8-month-old be? Oh, what is he, out for a walk? I mean, it's just unbelievable. It says during a search of the house, officers found blood stains and then the baby's mutilated corpse. A video shared on social media shows how the suspected scene of the alleged fated ritual. In the background, the mother can be heard crying and screaming, "My boy." Her boyfriend, believed to have helped her during the ritual, was not found in the house and is being hunted by authorities. So I guess the person she was dating, not the father of the child, was also involved in the ritual. I mean, this is how sick of a world we live in, where stuff like this doesn't even make the mainstream, right? You don't hear about it. Children being murdered, it touches to the core of everybody who has a soul. The innocent child who was just murdered, 8 months old. I mean, it's unfathomable to think about. Yet these are things they don't talk about. What are they talking about in the news? Oh, women, time's up. Time's up, everyone. It's time to fight back for women's impact. All this nonsense they want to keep your brain locked and trapped inside of because it's not real. This is the stuff they want hidden from people, because if people find this out, guess what? The party's over for the Satanists, and it goes all the way to the top, to the White House. It goes all the way to the top of Parliament around the world, to world leaders, because they're all involved in this. This is the thing they don't want people to know about, that the occult is real, that all these people are practitioners in black magic, that they sacrifice children, they sacrifice animals. I mean, other stories come out, just showing that there's real Satanists out there you don't hear about. Some other story about another guy who was cutting his girlfriend's wrists Just really sick, disgusting stuff.
Accused of cutting a woman during what he called a satanic ritual. Channel 11's Melanie Marcelco went out to the neighborhood where this happened.
And she talked to neighbors and police who are working this case. And Melanie joins us live with that new information and new details on the suspect's past. Melanie?
Well, David, Lisa, this is a pretty bizarre incident. The victim actually went to the police station, they say, to file an emergency PFA against her boyfriend. But when she told police all that happened, they ended up filing assault charges against that suspect.
I'm not surprised at all about what's happened because he has a record for stuff like this.
Neighbors tell Channel 11 they aren't shocked to hear 21-year-old Kyle Parker is back in jail, accused of slicing his girlfriend with a razor blade, allegedly as a worship to the devil.
I do think he just goes for shock value. I don't think he's actually a satanic cultist. I think he just wants people to be scared of him and to fear him.
According to police, Parker said it was all part of a Wiccan or a satanic ritual.
I mean, we've had some very strange things, but this is getting up there and unique.
The young woman told police she went to his house on Brownstown Road in North Huntington earlier this week. The two got into an argument. She started hyperventilating before passing out.
Before she could leave, he grabbed her hand, got a razor blade, and sliced her palm with a razor blade.
She told police she woke up to him using the razor blade on her calf.
He has done stuff like this before in the past, but nothing to really this level.
She went back the next day to get her car and belongings. Parker told her, "By the way, I sold your soul to the devil."
I just think he's different. He's off the wall.
Like I said, I think he's just going for shock value, wants people to be afraid of him. I don't actually think he's part of a cult, but honestly, we've lived next to him for a long time, and it's just kind of become normal.
Was cutting her wrists, cutting her ankles. Then they interview people in the neighborhood. They're like, I don't think he's really an occultist. I think he just wants attention. Oh, is that what he wants? He just wants attention. So he cuts his girlfriend's hands and wrists and her ankles in his sleep and also claims to worship Satan. But yeah, he's just looking for attention. It's unreal. And then stories like this just keep coming out, right? 2 men accused of satanic murder were just exonerated 26 years after conviction. So 2 men convicted of Satanism-motivated murder were exonerated Thursday, 26 years after their initial conviction when the Kentucky Attorney General motioned to dismiss their charges, right? You see how it works? They moved anybody with a soul, anybody who's Christian out of these positions. It took time, right? People were like, oh, somebody, Ted Gunderson, someone like that used to be FBI, so he's got to be an agent. They weren't all compromised at the beginning when, stuff started. Now everything's fully compromised. You can forget about it. You can completely forget about it. So now you have a different Kentucky Attorney General in there, and he comes in and he dismisses charges against these guys who were convicted in 1995 for the 1992 murder of a woman by the name of Rhonda Sue Warford. The authorities claim was a satanic ritual sacrifice motivated by their desire to become more powerful. It's the same stuff, right? West Memphis 3 walk, Oak Hill walk. These people walk. They're just freeing these people out of the prisons. That's what they're doing. All of these people who are convicted of these satanic crimes are getting off the hook because they're coming out, they're going, listen, satanic rituals. This was part of the quote unquote satanic panic. And people are going, yeah, this stuff's not real. People don't really do that. What is this, a TV show? What is this, American Horror Story? People were just going under the satanic panic at the time in the 90s and the 80s. So, they clearly made it up. And all these people just get off the hook. And where are the Christians? Where are people out there? How about just regular people? It doesn't matter what your belief is. Wanting justice for people who are brutally murdered. But instead they go, oh yeah, that kind of stuff's not real. God and the devil. Right? Even Christians go, oh yeah, but that stuff's not real, the satanic part. And these people just walk free. You know how many more cases I could cover and I could show you? How many people walk free who are convicted of this, who have blood contracts, blood oaths, with Crawley, have his books in their home, who are reportedly found, the bodies have their DNA on it, all this stuff, and they're like, no, it's not them. No, there's something when, they have their DNA on the body, then they go, oh, yeah, but there was a corrupt cop, or, yeah, but because of something else in the case, it has to be dismissed because something wasn't handled properly. And these people just get off the hook. But nobody even talks about the fact that this stuff exists. I mean, other stories are out there floating around about, Mariah Carey, for crying out loud. Apparently her sister, somebody came forward talking about how they were involved in, satanic ritual sacrifices of animals at a young age. Her mom was involved in the cult or the occult. And, and where these stories they get buried, right? It comes out, somebody gets interviewed about it, talks about it, then, something else comes out and goes, that's fake news, right? But why is the story out there? Why are people talking about it? Why isn't anyone else discussing any of this stuff, right? That Mariah Carey's been caught, the story's, a satanic sex shocker. But if you actually read between the lines and how, this woman, everything she says, it is credible. It is credible because if you understand how they operate, it makes sense, right? She says at a very young age, both Mariah and her sister, Allison, were involved in the ceremonies and participated in them. Allison herself, who has been estranged from Carey for years, this is her sister who came forward and talked about this. It's not like it's just some guy off the streets making it up. She alleges to the tabloids that the satanic rituals were led by her mother. She remembers people wearing hooded cloaks, standing in a circle and chanting. There was also sexual activity and animal sacrifice, which the participants believed would please the deity they were there to worship. And her sister says, I was trained to run the group. At first, as a small child, I would not understand what was happening, being forced to watch as a struggling animal was violently killed in front of me. It's unclear if she was paid in exchange for this. Oh, so then see how they go from there? So she's talking about how the animals killed. Then they go, it's unclear if she was paid in exchange for the story. So they go, well, the motivation is she's broke and Mariah Carey's rich, so she's coming out and telling this story because, she needs money for food or drugs, right? So these stories just, they come out and then they just get buried or they don't get discussed. Mom killing her 8-month-old, guy cutting. This is just in the past week. This is in February. This isn't, and I think the guy with the cutting of the wrist was late January. So 2 weeks ago. Like, these aren't stories that are like from 6 months. You can find this stuff every week. Every week. Go back into my archive. Look at some stories I've covered. December, November. Videos I've done about parents sacrificing their child, finding pentagrams, right? These Satanists use the pentagram in their logo or the pentagram, and we're atheists. So we're not involved with that stuff. So what are you using it for? And why is the pentagram used almost in every single logo? The star, right? And the upside down pentagram. I mean, it's unbelievable how obvious this stuff is. And it's amazing to me how many morons come over here and they're like, this crazy stuff with Satanists and killing babies. Because they either, one, are as stupid as they come, or two, they just really can't allow themselves to believe this is going on because they don't have the backbone to deal with it. Because it is disturbing, it is heartbreaking, but it needs to stop. And we know it's going to stop on Judgment Day. We know God gets the last laugh. And things, this is going according to prophecy. But at the same time, there's children out there that are being abused. And if more people knew about it and more people stood up against it, then less children would be abused and sacrificed. Because they'd have to find another way to do this. They'd have to find another way to hide it, right? But they're doing a pretty good job at it because these stories don't come out. The mainstream won't talk about it. And then when people like me do, we get our channels deleted. We get blocked from talking about it. Or they just write these articles that are discrediting us, saying, these crazy conspiracy theorists. It's like, how many stories you need here? The McMartin thing is fake because, crazy stories of rituals. As if all these kids just made these stories up. They all got together at the age of 3 years old, 2 years old, could barely talk, and we're like, hey, let's win a lawsuit here. Let's get together. Let's make it up. I mean, this is what they claim with McMartin. The kids and the parents got together to do this. A 3-year-old can't even comprehend what money is. Can't comprehend people in cloaks killing animals. These stories that came out of it. I mean, these people do everything they can, obviously, to hide this and cover it up. And it's amazing to me that people out there going, wow, okay, here's one story, here's 2, here's 10, here's 20, here's 500, here's 5,000 stories. Maybe, just maybe, there might be some, credibility behind these stories. There might be something behind it that we should look into. And we should watch out for these people. And if we find out who they are, we should run them out of here. We have open prison cells where they all belong. And that's being nice, putting them in there. The time is now to stop this stuff, to make people aware that it's going on. Share these videos. Show them this stuff. They see it over and over. They start going, all right, It can't just be that a few people are like, just making this stuff up. I mean, murdering your baby, this isn't like playing Tetris, okay? Obviously, they're deeply rooted in the occult, deeply believing in this black magic that they do. Obviously, it's real. You're talking about life in prison, the sacrificing their kids. They are into this stuff. This is really going on. This isn't like some kids wearing black lipstick and Marilyn Manson shirts like the media wants you to believe. We have to do something about it. We have to stay strong. We have to stay vigilant. We have to continue to tell people about this stuff. Because if we could save or help one child to make one other person aware, maybe that person knows somebody who's in a household like this or knows a woman who practices stuff, and maybe they can save the child from that household. Right? Or talk to the child, or talk to the woman, or report it. Something. And obviously when you report it, it's pretty rare something will happen that way, but you never know. And that's why to me, it's so important for people to know this stuff, that these people are out there. This is spiritual warfare. That's what this world's about. It's about God versus the devil. It's us versus them. There's no in between. If you're in between, then you're done. You might as well be on their side. It's us versus them. We have a duty and an obligation as Christians, not only to preach the gospel, but to make people aware of what's going on. Because lives are lost, souls are stolen, because some of these children never get to find Jesus Christ. They're told by these disgusting parents who are in satanic covens that Jesus is bad, that Satan's the god of this world. They're told all this stuff that the Masons teach and everybody inside these secret societies teach. Christians are evil. Jesus is evil. God is mean. God is bad. And their souls are damned because of it. So again, help me in this battle. Make people aware. Remember, this is us versus them. And it's not time for us to cower down and bow down to their crap. We need to run them out from where they're hiding, which is in plain sight. But we need to make people aware. For the sake of these children, for the sake of the souls out there, and for the sake of our Father in heaven. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.